Welcome to Tactical Foul, you guys. I am here with my friend Tigo, and we are here to talk about the Copa America today. And we have a lot to talk about still because we've got the Euros as well, but that will be the next episode. But right now, I wanted to start with the Copa America because I just feel like it's so we can go in depth. It's obviously not as competitive or as long as the Euros, but it is going to be a good tournament in my opinion, and we had some good predictions that we wanted to share with you guys today, and lots to talk about. Tiago, how you doing today?
Doing great, man. I'm ready to get disappointed by my country, by my nation.
As am I
Yeah,
right here.
they never fail. They never fail to disappoint me. A
No,
world-class team with world-class players fumbling it because they decided to start Rafinha instead of Endrick
I
for
hear
some
you.
reason. So,
Mhm.
um, let's not waste any time. Let's just dive right into it. There's so much to talk about the Copa America, and I kind of want to start by talking about some of the storylines that are coming out of Copa America, right? Because there's so many things and teams transitioning from the old guard to the new guards, new generations of talent coming in. And so let's just start with the easy question, right? If you had to pick a favorite right now, I don't bet, but I'm forcing you, gun to your head. You got to bet on the thing. No games have been played. You're just looking at rosters. Who would you say the favorite is if you're Vegas? You're making up the numbers. Like, what are you saying the favorites are?
Well, I mean, you gotta you know me pretty well. I mean, who do you think right now I'm gonna pick as the favorite, man? I mean, Argentina are just the team of this tournament. They are, to me, the favorites of the Copa America. And Brazil has some amazing players. And Uruguay has a very well-rounded squad
Yep.
with a great coach. So I do feel like they're going to be big factors. And I did make predictions,
We'll
and
get
they're
to
going to
them.
they're going to be big factors. But if I went in right now blindly to put my money, I mean, Argentina, man, they got the squad. They got one of the greatest players in the world. We're not going to make that debate whether he's the greatest of all time, but
He isn't.
he whatever. Not a debate to make right now at this episode, but he is a great player, great squad, good coach. I feel like they're the most rounded team of the tournament, in my opinion.
I I can't disagree with that statement because this should be their tournament to lose. When we look at the brackets, when we look at the
That's
group,
another thing.
dude, they walk to the final.
Yeah, it's definitely
Don't
a book.
if they don't make it to the final, the country should riot. Like, just
Yeah,
legitimately, because there's
yeah,
no excuse for Argentina not to make it, like, at
right.
all. Their group is Canada, Peru, and Chile. Those are all teams that they should be able to beat
Yeah,
relatively easily. And
100%.
then they're going to have to face what, Group B? And so now you're having a conversation of, are you either going to face one of your teams again, right? Or are you going to face Venezuela, Ecuador, Mexico, or Jamaica? Like, really? That's what you have to go to get to the final?
I,
Like,
I agree.
this is one of the reasons why I will not be convinced that specifically Messi doesn't get favoritism when it comes to stuff, because this is like, okay, the level of talent at the Copa America is not as high as the Euros or even the World Cup or anything like that. So the chances of you getting a relatively easy bracket run, totally within the realm of possibility. Totally get it. But this is the bracket. These are the groups that just so happens to be in Messi's final hurrah with Argentina, especially with the news that says that he plans to make Inter Miami his final team. So I totally get it. Argentina should be the favorites. I don't have them as the favorites, and that's partly because I hate Argentina. But I do think that Argentina is in a weird limbo. I don't want to get your thoughts on this, right? Because you're in this weird spot with Argentina where you have the old guard currently on the team. I still think they don't have an answer for goaltending because Emiliano Martinez is not a good goalkeeper. You won't convince me otherwise. I just don't think that he is. Defensively,
Agree.
incredibly sound. I think that Christian Romero is one of the better center backs in the world, and they've got so many good players. They've got a loaded midfield if they really wanted to, and then up top they've got a ton of talent as well. But here's the problem that I find with all of that is that how many of these guys are over the age of 30? Like Lionel Messi is like what, 36, 35? Di Maria's 36. Are you really, if you're the manager, right? Like if you're going into it, like, are you going to not play? Like, do you have the balls to start Garnacho over Di Maria? Like, do you, because like that is objectively the best move. Like, just because Garnacho right now is a better player. And even though Di Maria has that history of excellence, which is what he does, right? Have a history of excellence. He is 36 years old. Another one is like Julian Alvarez, who is incredibly good. Are you going to have the balls to put him in the starting lineup? Because like he deserves to be in the starting lineup. What do you do about Lautaro? Oh my God, I can't say this. Martinez from Inter Milan. What do you do about him? Because like, are you really going to play a 36-year-old Messi on the wing? Like, is that the solution? Are you going to play him centrally? And then what are you going to do with Lautaro Martinez? And so these are the questions that I have about Argentina. And we'll have an answer like really, really soon because like Copa America starts in 8 days.
Right.
But these are the things that I think are going to impact the team the most. Because if you're taking into consideration that this is Di Maria's last hurrah, that this is Messi's last hurrah, then you're putting the team in a very vulnerable state. Because can Messi give you 90 minutes? Can Di Maria give you 90 minutes against, you know, Canada, who's like insanely young? They're a bunch of 24 and 25-year-olds. And I'm not saying that they're good, but like, are you really going to put Messi up against Alphonso Davies for 90 minutes? Like that's the questions that I think you have to ask. And that's why I find it so interesting, the story of Argentina this tournament, and why I don't have them as the favorites on my board is because of, well, I don't know what the answers are to those questions. I don't know what you're going to do if you're Argentina. And so we'll have to see, but I totally get it. Like it's Argentina. They've
Right.
I think they probably got the best midfield group in the tournament.
So here to address, I'm going to address a lot of the things that you just said. First, I do 100% agree that they have a cakewalk almost to the final, which is, yeah, I am very, I don't agree on a lot of things that you say about Messi and Argentina and how they're favored, but this one I will say it is a very, very like clear cakewalk to the final, and so that's one thing I do want to address there because, I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, like the group, from the group to the ones they're gonna have in the quarterfinal to even the semifinal. I mean, it's almost given that they got about a 85-90% chance of making it to the final, and if they don't, yeah, riot on the streets, right?
Riot.
I do agree there. And yeah, like they need to answer for a lot of things. I don't know if you bench Messi just because they are just so, I mean, they treat Messi like a king in that team. No matter what, he's going to be the captain, he's going to be the main guy of that team. He's going to be the one calling almost calling the shots at this point. I mean,
He is. He's CEO,
but
he's general manager, he's head coach.
right. So
And he should be.
I mean,
He should be.
but here's the thing: Messi is like declining physically, and so even he will probably, like, even this last game they played against Ecuador, he didn't start the game. He went in on like this 50 some minute, and so it's tough. Who they're gonna pick? But they do have a lot of talent just all around.
Mm-hmm.
Even if like Di Maria doesn't start, like you said, they got Garnacho. Even if Garnacho, they got Julian Alvarez, they got Lautaro Martinez, they got Paredes, Lo Celso, Romero, Martinez. They got so many good players. I disagree with you saying Emilio Martinez isn't a great goalkeeper. I think he's not a good goal. Okay, and let me say this. Okay, because you've said time and time again that he's an awful keeper. Let me say this. He's not technically a good keeper. Like, and what I mean by technically is he's not the kind of keeper you want to have possession with.
No.
And wait, so he's not the kind of keeper that you want to have possession with, but he's the kind of keeper that he is going to get into players' heads and he's going to make some good saves. Some good saves. That you can't disagree there.
No.
You can't disagree there.
Nope.
He's going to make some good saves. He's Argentina's best keeper.
Well, yeah.
He's Argentina's best possible keeper. He may not be a top level keeper, but he is Argentina's best keeper, and he does play a huge role in like that. Those mind games that he plays going into the penalties, those mind games that he plays throughout the game where he's constantly talking smack or he makes a save and does a dance. It's kind of like Vinny Jr. What Vinny Jr. does sometimes with Real Madrid, and that he just like gets into those defenders' heads or he gets the fans really riled up. And so I think even though technically Emiliano Martinez isn't technically a good goalkeeper, he's essential to that team because
I don't know if essential is the right word.
You change him.
I'm not saying they have a better option. That's not what I'm saying.
They don't.
Because they don't. And that is a
don't.
problem that Argentina needs to find a solution to incredibly. What I think
They're
is
never going to.
The front four in front of him is so freaking good that he's allowed to be just okay. And I think that is because my contention is not saying that he's bad. That's not my thing. I overcompensate and say that he's bad because I think a lot of people think that he's like really good. And like I ask people this all the time, which is just like with Emiliano Martinez. It's like, okay, take away the dancing and the head games. You just need a guy to make a save. Is he anywhere on your list? Is he does he ever come up? You need a guy to make a save to win you a Champions League. Is he ever going to make the list? You know what I mean? Like, that's my point. He's not a championship winning keeper. And like what I mean by that is I don't mean that he's a keeper that doesn't have a trophy.
But okay,
right?
But wait.
Because like
he
Looney
did make a lot of key saves in the last Copa America. Key saves for the penalties.
But those like when you're talking
saves.
about
those were
like
game-winning saves. They were
game-winning saves or were they saves that were made difficult because of the defensive play?
No, go look at him. And I'm not saying, and again, you're right. He's not going to win you a Champions League final. He's not that kind. He's not a keeper at the top level. But for this kind of competition,
he's good enough.
100%. No, not just. I think good enough. Yeah, not good enough is a little bit of an understatement. I don't think he's also like, great keeper, the best of the tournament. I actually like Uruguay's keeper a lot, and
no, best in the tournament
Brazil,
is Alisson
and
Becker.
Brazil. Yeah, Alisson Becker.
He's the best in the world.
Yeah, he is. Best in the world. I mean, I don't know, but great keeper regardless, and the best one in this tournament, 100%.
Argentina are going to be a very, very interesting team to watch. Like, and it sucks that the first time that they're going to have actual competition is going to be in the final, but there's going to be a lot of, and that's another conversation that you have to have. Is the cakewalk to the final going to help them because they're like going to be rested and you're not going to have to play all your guys? Or is it going to be a detriment because the first time you face an actual team is going to be a month from now, a month and a half from now in the final, whether that's against Brazil or Uruguay or something like that. And speaking of Brazil, that's who I have as the favorite going in to the competition. And like the reason I have them as the favorite is because I think that one, right, like let me be very clear, there's some bias here, but I do think that when you look at the team and the way that it is built, like just on paper, and this is where the key comes in, and this is where I'm going to put a massive asterisk when it comes to Brazil. You don't win games on paper. You win games on the field. You have 90 minutes, and Brazil does have a tendency to not do it in those 90 minutes. But when you talk about the level of just championship caliber players on this team, you have the best goalkeeper in the world, in Alisson Becker, in my opinion, in the world between the nets. You have one of the best back fours in all of the tournament in Marquinhos, Militao, Danilo, and then Bremer. Because I think those are like some of the best back four that you can do. And that doesn't even include the fact that you have some really, really good depth in Beraldo, in Magalhães, in, Vendel, and like there's so much good depth defensively. So the back five, I'm not all that worried about. And like with the goalkeeper and the defense, because I think you've got the depth. You need to pray and hope that nothing happens to Allison, because I don't like the backup goalkeepers. I'm going to skip the midfield because I'm going to come back to that.
You don't like Ederson?
Ederson's not at the tournament. Got hurt.
Oh yeah, he got hurt.
Didn't get called up.
Yeah.
And to be fair, no, I don't like Ederson. I don't think I think he's
I know you don't.
I think he's a midfielder who plays in net.
That's funny. I actually agree with you.
Like, look,
he's not. We've never seen him actually make a save, and I can't. Like, he probably has, but it's so rare to see Ederson actually like dive and make a save because
City just they control the ball. Yeah, 100%. And like, to be fair, I think a better thing to say is like, I don't know if he's good because he doesn't have to save.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just a ball playing goalkeeper, right?
He's got great control. Like
great, dude. Right. Give him an outfield jersey, put him as a CDM, and watch him cook. You know what I mean?
100.
But moving on, if we go to the forwards for Brazil, another stacked group, and I'm going to say this right now. If Dorival continues to start Rafinha, I'm going to kill myself. That will lose us the tournament.
Wait.
That will lose us the tournament.
You think Endrick should start over Rafinha?
Yes. No. Okay. It doesn't even have to be Endrick. Put Rodrigo on the right side.
Rodrigo on the right.
And put Vinny on the left. And even if you don't want to put Vinny on the left, you want to put Vinny centrally, you want to put Rodrigo on the left, put Martinelli on the right. Like, every single one of these players that are on this front four, in my opinion, or on this forward group, let me just list them. Endrick, going to Real Madrid this summer. Evan Nielsen going to from Porto. Martinelli from Arsenal. Rafinha from Barcelona. Rodrigo from Real Madrid. Savio from Girona. And Vinicius Jr. from Real Madrid. The only players on this list that should start that Rafinha should start over is Evan Nielsen and Savio. That's it. Because Endrick...
Savio.
What?
I like Savio.
Oh, I do too. He's depth. He's not a start for this team, and he shouldn't be.
He's good.
He's a good super sub. You need a sub to come in and just run it out. Like, that's what he can do. But if you're going into this front three and, like, you're being serious about having a front three, or how they played against the U.S. tonight, a front four, then, like, I totally get it. But Rafinha cannot be a starting player. He's just not good enough. That's what's going to cost us the tournament, in my opinion. Now, you can make up for the mistakes of Rafinha and all that stuff. But, like, when we look at this front group, Vinicius Jr. is the best left winger in the world. I would say one of the best forwards in the world. Easily top three, in my opinion. I think it goes Kylian Mbappe, Haaland, Vinicius Jr., and you can have a conversation on whatever order you want to put them in. Like, that's really it when it comes to that conversation. Rodrigo, who is making an argument to be one of the best right wingers in the world. And remember, playing on the right wing is him out of position. He is a left winger, and he's playing on the right wing. Martinelli had an incredibly efficient and good season for Arsenal, and they got to second place and all of that stuff. So he's a really good option. Endrick is the future of this national team. He's the future of football if things keep going the way that they're going. He has shown nothing but this ability to be magic is the only word that I can describe it. Like, this kid's just magic. And he's caught something in a bottle, and if Dorival doesn't take advantage of it, that is a problem. But there's so many things. But I think the biggest thing that I'm worried about with Brazil is the midfield. And that is where I get really concerned. Because this is where you see the drop-off in talent is in the midfield. Because if you can't connect the back four with the front three, or the back four with the front four through that midfield, what are you going to do? Now, Bruno Guimaraes and João Gomez and Lucas Paqueta and Douglas Luiz and
Lucas Paqueta is really good, man. You gotta give him a little more credit than he's due.
He's good.
Okay,
I wouldn't say really good. And Ederson out of Atlanta, like, again, I'm concerned. is about the midfield. If we can figure out the midfield, which I think should be a duo of Paqueta and Guimaraes with a front four, with like just sending the fullbacks up, flying up, or invert Militao. That's what I would do, actually. Invert Militao, because Militao is playing as a right back for the team. Put him into that, invert him, put him in as the other controlling midfielder, and essentially go into a 3-3-4.
A double pivot is essentially
No, a triple pivot. Because I don't
triple pivot.
Yeah, because we're playing with 2 6s essentially, like because it's Bruno and Paqueta playing as holding midfielders, and then you put Militao in the middle of them as an outlet.
But I feel like that's gonna restrict the Brazilian team a little bit, man. If you do that, 3 pivots is a double pivot's already a lot, because you got those guys kind of holding those counters.
Yeah,
I don't think a 3 pivot's gonna limit them. It's gonna leave it all up to Vini and 2 other guys to make any sort of attack happen.
And I believe, but that's the thing, is I believe in that front 4, because it's a front 4 at that point. I believe in those 4 creating space.
But wait, how is it a front 4?
Because you would play 4 in the back,
3 guys as a pivot. I've never even think I've seen 3 pivots.
No. It's normally 3 pivots is the wrong word. It would be 1 pivot and then 2 holding midfielders.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So you're talking about
would invert.
Because I'm looking at their...
It would be a 3-3-4.
3-3-4.
Because the way that they play is a 4. It's essentially a 4-2-3-1 is how the team plays. Right now. So you have 4 forwards. Technically, one of them is an attacking midfielder.
Yes, I think that. Though I do understand where you're going with it.
It's about giving them.
I feel like
midfield.
You're explaining it a little different though, because so you're gonna have Jeremias as like your box to box midfielder.
No,
you're gonna have Lucas Paqueta. What?
No, that's my thing. I don't want Bruno or Paqueta going up. Like, that's the whole point. Just
not going to go up. He's an attacking midfielder.
No, but that's the point. He's not. He's a holding midfielder.
How is he a holding midfielder?
I don't want him because he is a liability. That's the whole point. Protect the players from themselves. Vinny, Rodrigo, Endrick, and Martinelli are good enough, those 4, to score by themselves.
I feel like, wait, here's my problem with all of this that you're saying. I feel like you're putting way too much faith in Endrick, dude. You're putting way too much faith in this dude. He's like, what, 17 years old, 18?
Yeah.
Like, he is way too young. He has not got the experience.
Pele won his first World Cup at his age.
Yeah, but that's a different era. You're talking about a whole different, like, time, era, everything.
Look, I get what you're saying.
Endrick is good. Okay, and whatever. If you want to put all your faith in Endrick, I mean,
it's not just Endrick. I'm not telling him to go win it by himself. I'm giving him the best left winger in the world and one of the best right wingers in the world and an excellent forward in Martinelli.
Okay, how are you? Okay. We're talking about Vinny, Rodrigo, Martinelli, and Endrick.
Yeah, that would be my front 4.
But the thing is that who's giving him the pass? Who's feeding them? Is what I don't understand with the logic that you're giving me. If you have 2 holding midfielders, essentially, and then you still have another CDM, and then another guy invert. I don't understand how you want Lucas Paqueta and Bruno Hirmaz to both be holding midfield, bro. One of them has to go up.
No, they don't. You don't. You have wings. You can have your wingers carry the ball.
It would be a trend. So you essentially want Brazil to be in a transition game, because that's what that means.
Yes,
they're really just gonna be countering.
Yes,
they're literally just gonna use speed to go up and score goals.
Yes.
But even then, you need somebody feeding them. You need somebody good enough to feed them. And
you have that in your center backs.
You need
the center backs you can overlap the midfield.
You think Marquinhos or Militao are gonna be able to make those passes?
Yes, Militao can make those passes. He's shown us that for years at Real Madrid that he can make those passes. And it's not just him. Again, we're getting too into the nitty-gritty of it, but like you have Danilo who can play box to box as a fullback. So you can have him carry the ball up forward. And let's say you're not inverting Militao and you invert Danilo. Again, you can invert Danilo, put him in there, and now you have 3 midfielders who can do the job. And I'm not saying that they're not going to go forward, but like the whole point is you have to protect the players from themselves. And I think the real problem is that you're going to, if you're not asking the players to protect them from themselves and you're not taking advantage of the quality that you have up front, then you run into a situation like we just had with the U.S., where the U.S. scored after Real Madrid. Brazil scores. No, that's fine. Brazil scores early with Rodrigo. Great. And then the U.S. sent everybody. And because the midfield isn't good enough, they were able to overload them because the forwards were too far forward and they didn't have the support, and the midfielders were trying to get up with the forwards, and now you've got this imbalance in transition that the U.S. was able to counter, get possession, score, drop 11 guys in the box the whole game, and then just sit there. Brazil dominated possession, dominated the shots, and to be very, very clear, goalkeeper for Matt Turner out of the U.S., exceptional game out of him. 11 saves, just chef's kiss man of the match. But you're going to run into that situation where it's just like, well, just drop 11 guys in the box. If you get up early, Brazil can't break through because we don't have the talent in the
you
midfield.
Want him to pull. You want him to do what Real Madrid did, almost.
I wish Jose was the person that we hired as our manager, and that we would have played the old Italian style of, the counters, because that's what the players that we have right now. Like that's the reality of it. And like
you just want the speed. I don't know. I see a lot more potential in Lucas Paqueta to kind of lead that attack and feed Rodrigo, Vini, and Martinelli. In my opinion, that's just how I see it. I would give him a lot more free. And then you got Himare. How do you say his name? Bruno
Guimaraes.
I think Bruno Guimaraes is
underrated.
To me,
very good.
Very, very good box-to-box midfielder. And I feel like he's your Xavi. He's the one dictating the tempo of the game. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Lucas Paqueta, who's creative, and he can dribble. But anyways, I just see football a little bit different than you. You would rather just counter.
No.
Use the speed.
I hate that style of play. That style of play.
You'd rather just transition.
The problem is I don't believe in Paqueta. And my other concern is like, okay, if you don't play Paqueta and then you play João Gomez and Bruno Guimaraes, like, is that midfield duo good enough? And I don't know. There are too many unanswered questions about those players for me to say that I feel comfortable them connecting a back four that I think is incredibly solid and a front four that I think is incredibly solid.
Here's what I believe. I believe that you could, like you said, have a pivot, essentially. I would use the double pivot that you explained, like an inverted right back, but I would use either Danilo or Militao in that, because Danilo knows how to play the inverted role. He's done it. He did it at Manchester City when he played with Guardiola. He knows how to play the inverted.
Does it right now for Juve?
Yeah, he knows how to play that, and I would have him and João Gomez just kind of as that double pivot. And then I would utilize Guimaraes as like he's coming up and defending and coming back. Lucas Paqueta as like your kind of what Real Madrid did with Jude Bellingham, where he's like, just making those last passes to Vini, making those passes to Rodrigo. I feel like he could essentially do that, but that's just the way I see it. And obviously, Brazil better than I do. I mean, I think Lucas Paqueta, from what I've seen from him at West Ham, I feel like he's been a great player.
For West Ham. And that's the problem. He's been a good player for West Ham, but he's never been their best player. He's never been a guy that there's a lot of questions.
He's their key player. He's the guy that they're playing through. 100%. Yes, he is. He's the guy they're playing through. Look at their last few games. He's the guy that they're playing through. There's nobody else there making those passes for their forwards than Lucas Paqueta. Lucas Paqueta is the one, and though from what I've seen from Lucas Paqueta, he's done a great job. He's done a great job at just being able to make that dribble past this play, making a fancy dribble and a pass, fancy dribble, a pass. That's what he does.
Yeah, but I don't want him to. That's the thing. I just
I
make the
get
pass.
it.
Don't
Again,
take
it's
on the
your
man.
squad.
That's the problem is that he takes on the man. That's not your job. That's not your job at the national team.
Yeah.
At West Ham, cool. Do whatever you want. On the national team, get the ball to the players that are better than you. You are not Vinny. You are not Rodrigo. You are not Endrick. You are not Martinelli. Those guys at younger ages than you were at much better teams playing much better than you are right now. And submit to that. Like the whole midfield has to have that realization. Again, if Brazil can figure out whatever the solution is in the midfield, I think that the rest of the team around them is so freaking good that I think that they can make a push. And I think that this is the first like real tournament post the Neymar era. And this is where Vinny's going to try to... we have to remember, Vinny is on a Ballon d'Or campaign. If he wins Copa America, he almost guarantees the Ballon d'Or for him, assuming England doesn't win the Euro, because then Jude would steal it, right? Because winning the Euro is more important. So, like, that's where I think the X factor is going to come in. This is Vinicius's team. Like, this is his team. And a new haircut, new hairdo, new hairstyle, and new Vinny. And I also think, ironically, I don't like it either.
Don't, yeah, I was about to be like
it.
Do not praise that haircut.
I didn't praise it. I just said new haircut. But I will say that this is an opportunity also for Rodrigo to try and raise his value.
Okay.
Because he might be on the move this summer out of Real Madrid.
Yeah.
He might be.
Yes.
We don't know. There are rumors. There are
Yes.
talks that he might leave. So this is an opportunity for him to really say, okay, this is not like I'm not just in Vinny's shadow at Real Madrid. Like I can be my own player. And if he's doing that at his more comfortable left wing position, one, it's a win-win for everybody. If he's playing at his left wing and he's playing excellently and he's driving up his value and Brazil win at Copa America, like that's awesome. My country wins a Copa America, woo! And Real Madrid can sell him for 150 plus million euros, woo! Like I'm not mad at it. I hate to see a good player go, but like there are a lot of really interesting storylines with Brazil, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, moving on from Brazil, I think we've talked enough. I feel like Brazil, again, and this is I'm gonna conclude Brazil by saying this. I like every player. I think every Brazil player is great, amazing, lots of talent. I don't like their coach. I don't like their coach. I don't think he's tactically a coach that can bring them forward to win this tournament. That's just how I feel about Brazil.
Totally agree.
The talent is there.
Can the talent win in spite of him?
And that's the question.
That's the biggest question.
So that's my conclusion into Brazil.
Okay, you can't say Argentina. You can't say Brazil. No. Who's your nobody's talking about this team enough to win?
So I think I'm going to talk about this next team, and after we talk about this team, we're going to do our predictions. Okay? This is the team that I think are going to be big, and I think it's going to be Uruguay. And here's why. Okay? Uruguay have a very well-rounded squad.
Mm-hmm.
They've got players that are coming up. They've got veteran players as well that are good, and they have a great balance in the team. And I really like their coach. Marcelo Bielsa is arguably one of the best coaches in the game, or historically an amazing coach. I think he's historically one of the best, other than Carlo, obviously. I mean, let's not also put personally, I love Marcelo Bielsa. He's always been such a good coach, and for him to come into this Uruguay team with the squad that he has, I think that Uruguay is going to be the team that's going to surprise us in this tournament. Personally, I believe that. I feel like they're going to be a team that's going to surprise us. They're going to do more than what we expect them to do. And looking at their last 5 matches, I mean, I think from their last 5 matches, I think they've done better than almost any team in the Copa America right now,
Mm-hmm.
looking at their last 5 matches. And obviously, yeah, we can look at statistics, but that's not going to matter until the tournament's in. Yes, 100%, I agree with that.
They have one of the most well-rounded squads. Like they don't have a
100%.
hole. They've got a really
No.
solid goalkeeping group. They've got really, really good talent defensively. They've got excellent players in that midfield, and they are absolutely loaded up top in that forward group. And when you're talking about, like, let us not forget that Edison Cavani and Luis Suarez as super subs, excuse me, is absolutely insane. Can you imagine calling
Absolutely
in
insane.
Luis Suarez? You're calling in Suarez in the 80th minute. You just need 10 minutes out of the guy. Is there any
Oh, yeah.
better player to bring in to score a goal?
No.
Like, is there a
No, I
like,
don't think so.
or you double pivot and you say, okay, Suarez and Cavani, you're coming in. We need a goal right now. Like, dude, talk about just quality, and it's this perfect combo. And this is where I really like what Uruguay's doing, and I don't necessarily like what Argentina's doing, is because, like, Uruguay's doing it right. They're not relying on the 36-year-olds, the 35-plus-year-olds to come in and carry the team. They're super subs. They're there for veteran leadership. And, like, that's a key thing. Because, like,
Well,
Darwin
that's the thing. But we're gonna have
Núñez
to
and-
wait. We're gonna have to wait and see what Argentina do before
course.
we
Of course.
move on there. But I do agree with you 100%. They have they're a squad that's really coming up, and with the coach that they have, I really feel like they're gonna surprise us in this tournament. I feel like they're gonna do a lot bigger things than we expect them to do.
Mhm. Dude,
And
they can make a run.
I think they can make a run. I think they can make a run if they can get past. And here's the thing: let's get into the bracket.
Real quick, before we do that, because this is going to impact the back bracket as well. Because I did want to talk about, just really quickly, is about this U.S. men's national team. Because they have
if you're gonna
two
talk about
players.
the U.S., I'm gonna have to talk about Mexico.
You can talk
I
about
really
Mexico.
don't want
Like that's totally fine. But like my thing is this, is that if we're talking about a team that is young, that is trying to make a name for themselves, that is trying to really, really show up and show out, is there a better team in this competition than the US as a true underdog in terms of having the ability to come out and make some waves? Now, I'm not going to say that they're going to win, because if they want to win, they have to go through an absolute gauntlet to win. If the U.S. men's national team win it, they should be ranked the number one team in the world, because it's absolutely insane, the bracket and the competition that they would have to go through to get to the final. But when you're talking about, dude, all of their key players, I think they have I think they have 3 players over the age of 30. I think they have 4 players over the age of 26. You're talking about an incredibly, incredibly young group with a ton of European level of competition and level of play, who have grown up playing together with championship caliber players on the team, you know, like that have trophies, that know what it takes to win. This is again, be very, very, but this is a team that, like, you just watch out. Because I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to win anything. But they've got some guys on that team that I look at and I go, dude, if it clicks, if they figure it out, watch out. Because, like, they can make some waves. And I think the biggest key, obviously the Brazil game and the way that they played, they showed that they can play and that they can suffer through defense. But my biggest concern is obviously going to be that Colombia game, right? Because
Colombia is doing really good. They lost. U.S. lost 1-5 against Colombia.
Yeah, it was 5-1, and that's a serious team, and like that's a team that, like, that's the caliber of team you're going to have to beat. Plus, because Colombia is what, the 4th, 5th best team in the tournament. I'm just saying, keep an eye out for the U.S. because they can make some waves. I'm not saying that they're going to win, but just keep an eye on them.
So this is a very passionate subject for me, man, because I love my country, right? I love my country. My country's Mexico. I was born in Mexico. I have grown up in the U.S., but I do consider myself Mexican to heart. And so I'm gonna try to make my rant as brief as brief as I can possibly make it
Don't hold
about
it in. Go.
and the US have a lot to do with Mexico's downfall because what the US has done in the past, I think, decade or so with their players, like, and I think that their league as well, like being able to just say, you know what, let's have our US players, let them go to Europe. Let them go to Europe. They almost gave him an accessibility for them to go to Europe and said, you know what? Let's just bring in more retired stars over the MLS. What did that do? That made the current USA squad, and that made all these players go to Europe and develop their game. And boom, now we have a team like the US doing so good. And the MLS, like hardly any US players nowadays you see there. A lot of them are, yeah,
There are
four
four
total.
MLS players in the U.S. men's national team. Four.
Anyway, so you made my point. Before there was a lot more. If we're looking 10 years ago, way more US players. Now, four. What a number. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I looked it up for you.
So anyway, thank you. Anyway, the US did that, and now they have all these retired stars, and they're paying them buttloads of money, and they're also gaining a lot of money from TV rights because you got one of the biggest players in the world playing for in the US now. And so the MLS essentially made money, and at the same time was able to develop their national team in such a way that just makes them so competitive. Now, going into my country, because it's caused, but the thing about my country is it's just like, it's very similar to Brazil because we're very passionate about our soccer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to say 6 players are in Europe, Mexican players. Were you gonna say that? Okay. Anyway,
I'm just letting you know. I want you to go on your rant, dude.
I'm
Go
gonna get to
off.
that. I'm
Go
gonna get
off.
to that. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna try to keep it as brief as possible because I could do the whole podcast just this rant. Anyway, so I'm gonna keep this as brief as possible. Mexican players are extremely passionate about their football. I'm included. Just like Brazil, maybe not as much as Brazil, but they're very passionate about their football.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said, we are very critical of the national team, extremely critical of the national team when they do not perform well. And because now US is doing so well, the problem that we're looking at in Mexico is that 6 players in Europe. Why? Because the Mexican league wants to stay competitive, and they are. The Mexican league is more competitive than the MLS right now. 100%. Even with Messi. I think we saw the CONCACAF Champions League, a Mexican team won it. Mexico wants to keep their players so bad because they want to keep their league so competitive, so bad that the national team is now suffering from it. And it's such a shame, dude, because we have so much heart. I mean, we saw it against Brazil. I mean, Mexican, they don't give up, man. 2-0 down. That game could have easily been, if we would have given up, could have easily been 4, 5, 6, maybe not 6, but 5-0. We could have ended 5-0, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the Mexicans have so much heart that we came back and then, yeah, we lost, right? But like, we have so much heart is the one thing that I'll give them in this competition, is the fact that they're going to have heart. They're not going to make a run. They might. Everybody has this like sort of thing that, oh, Mexico might make a run. I highly doubt they'll make it past the quarterfinals. But I do feel like they could make it to the quarterfinals given their group, because their group isn't exceptionally great. And depending on who they get in the quarterfinal, it's very questionable. But that's my rant, is just, man, the US and the fact that the US is doing so much better than us in the national team makes us so much worse. Another thing that I wanted to get into is the Mexico national team is so focused on, not even just the Mexico national team, Mexican football is so focused on money that we don't even play in our country anymore. We're playing all of our games are in the US. All of our games. I don't even know when the last time we played in Mexico. The Mexican national team played in Mexico. I don't remember the last time it was. We have a deal with I don't know which corporation, which U.S. corporation, that all of our games are now played in the U.S. And we have a lot of Mexico fans in the U.S. Great, but they're not. You're not going to get the same. You're not going to get the same passion. You're not going to get the same anything, if you go to Mexico. And there's a whole laundry list of stuff that I can get into about Mexico. That rant that they do. I don't know if you've ever heard the rant that they do. That they are now stopping the game if the crowd chants this does this chant. It's when the goalkeeper comes out. I don't know if you've heard it before or if you know what I'm talking about. So when the goalkeeper comes out, we say a homophobic rant. I'm not going to say it in this podcast because I don't want to get canceled. But we say a homophobic rant when the goalkeeper comes out, and it's gotten so bad that the last few games had to stop the game, and they had to do like a brief pause. And if they get into a third strike, the game's canceled. Like, and this chant, granted, this chant's been on for years, man. But anyway, I don't want to get it political with it, but just so many things, man, that have really ruined Mexican football. And I just wanted to go on that rant because, U.S., very proud of them. They're also a part of my ethnicity in a way. I'm also a U.S. citizen, so I do. I am proud to see the U.S. doing so well, but as a Mexico fan, obviously it hurts, man. It's like seeing Real Madrid win year after year. It's very similar, man. As a football fan, I hurt. It sucks, but I do feel like we have heart into going into this tournament, and I do feel like somehow we will get to the playoffs and do the best that we can. And that's the most that I'm going to go on this rant and say about Mexico. And I feel like
let's hop right into the bracket. Let's get to some lighter notes, right? Because I totally agree. I don't understand the hype with Mexico, and I think a lot of the decisions that they've made in the last decade have been very questionable. And you went into all of that stuff. But let's talk about the brackets. Let's talk about the groups. Who do you have making it out of Group A? I think we're going to agree here. Argentina, Peru, Chile, and Canada. That's Group A. Who do you have making it out as the winners and as the runner-ups?
So should I just tell you the quarterfinals flat out? I'm gonna tell you the quarterfinals flat out.
Let's go through the groups.
You want the winners.
Let's go through the groups, and then we'll run through the bracket.
The winners for Group A, obviously, Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my winners.
Yep, me too.
For Group B...
No. Who's the runner-up in Group A?
Runner-up in Group A is going to be Chile, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. See, this is where I think I have Canada.
You have Canada. Why are you putting... Okay, my question, and I want a brief answer.
Got it.
Real quick, why Canada? Why do you have Canada?
If you watch and look back at Canada and what they've done over the last 5 to 6 years with their development, they have a really, really good core of players. And my thing is that their team is young and hungry. Canada is trying to make a name for themselves on a national stage, and I think that this is an opportunity for them to do so. I think Chile is in this weird era where I don't think Peru's all that good of a team. Sorry, no, Peruvians.
Peru is awful. I'm sorry.
But I think Chile is in this weird era where they're not the Chile of the past, but they're also not the Chile that we're going to see in the future. They're in this weird where the players that are there aren't ready for the stage that they're at. Does that make sense? And so that's how I look at Chile. And so when I look at it, I have Argentina and Canada making it through, based purely on, one, Argentina is the best team in that group. They should be able to win every single one of those games. But I really think that Canada can shake things up. I think that's as far as they go.
Here's what I'll say.
But I think Canada can shake things up. I really like the team and the way that
Here's what I say. When I picked this, I went by more status because, and I'll say that I'll be honest there because Chile actually have a very not good team going into this, and they're playing with a lot of veterans. I mean, Alexis Sanchez, Bravo, Vargas, even. I mean, they're all over the age of 30 years old, and it's I do agree that Canada's coming up. But
I picked youth. That's what I did. I said Canada and Chile, which one's going to go through? And then I looked at the ages of the team, and I said, okay, I'm picking youth.
Here's my thing about Canada. I don't know, like, if their fan base is big enough to show up in a tournament in South America.
It's in
And
the
so,
States, isn't it?
is it? Oh yeah, it is in the. Yeah, you're right. It is in the States. Oh, okay. So I think you're right. Actually, I'm wrong. I will say I'm wrong here to pick Chile, but whatever. I picked Chile.
Group B. Who do
I'm
you have
gonna
winning
stay with
Group
Chile.
B?
Winning Group B, I will pick Mexico because they're my team, and I just have to. I just have to, man. As much as they might not win it, they probably won't. They probably won't. I know that if we don't, if we do not win this group, and this is why I picked Mexico, because I really don't want to be runners up, man. Because if we're runner up, we are going to play against Argentina, and I really, really do not want to play Argentina.
Who do you have as runner up in Group B?
Runner up in Group B, I have Ecuador. Ecuador is going to be the runner-up in Group B in there, and fairly so. I feel like I feel like actually Ecuador is the best team in this group.
That is
They're the best
where
team in-
I tend to agree because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, good friend, but I have Venezuela topping the group
Venezuela.
on goal
You
differential.
have Venezuela
topping
on
the
goal
group
difference.
on goal differential
Topping the group
with
You
Ecuador
have
as the
Venezuela.
runners-ups.
You have Venezuela topping the group. I'm
Yep.
sorry. Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. Venezuela's awful, dude.
I
Awful.
think
I just want to let you know.
I
I just want to let you know they're awful.
disagree.
Even against Mexico, I don't see them. No, even against Mexico. Mexico,
I think
I would
I think
agree
you're
with you if
sleeping
you
on this
had said-
Venezuela team. I think you're sleeping on this
Bro, what do you
Venezuela team.
mean? What do you mean that their last five? They haven't won one game in their last five.
Their last
They're
five
awful.
have been against really good competition. And
Guatemala's really good competition to you.
what are you talking about? Last five? When did they play
That's their last-
Guatemala?
They played Guatemala like not too long ago. They played
That was that was
Guatemala-
June of 23 was the last
No,
time they played Guatemala.
No. They played Guatemala in March 24th. That's their last game. March.
Oh, they
24th.
tied Guatemala. Yeah. You're
They
right.
tied Guatemala.
They tied Guatemala.
That was
They
their last
lost
game.
to Italy on one. They lost to Colombia on one. They tied with Peru. That's fine. Tied with Ecuador. That's fine. They beat Chile 3-0. They tied with Brazil. Here's the thing. This is in my opinion, this is the worst group in the tournament.
Right, 100%.
Right?
100%.
Jamaica's not winning a game.
But I feel like Jamaica. No, I feel like you're sleeping on Jamaica a little bit. I feel like Jamaica's actually
Jamaica's not winning a
done
game.
bad. They beat Mexico 3-0.
It's not that hard to beat Mexico right now.
I get it.
Neither one of Mexico or Jamaica is making it out of my group. Look, I'll admit this. Ecuador should be leaving the group. If I'm being objective, it should be Ecuador, Venezuela, in my opinion. Either way, it doesn't change the fact that even if I switched Ecuador and Venezuela...
You see Venezuela topping that group, man?
No. I just admitted it. Ecuador should probably top the group, but Venezuela is
Ecuador's
making
gonna
it out.
top that group more than likely.
I agree, but Venezuela makes it out.
I'm only having Mexico top the group out of
Passion?
love for my fucking out of love for my freaking country, dude. And because I don't want to face Argentina, I really would not like to face Argentina. I really don't want to face Argentina.
Either way, neither one of Venezuela or Ecuador make it past the quarters in my group, so it doesn't matter which way they go.
Anyway,
but
okay, so
Group C, I have Uruguay and USA as winners and runners-up respectively. Who do you have?
Same thing. I think same thing. Uruguay, USA. USA being runners-up, obviously.
Yeah, and then Group D, I have Brazil, Colombia.
100%.
Yeah, I thought that Group C, Group D was going to be the easiest of the
100%.
thing. So now we go into the quarterfinals. And this is when you're going to see what we were talking about with the Argentinian path to victory and how easy their path to the final is, right? Because in my bracket, just the top part of the bracket, so let's talk both games and who you have winning both of those games, right? In my bracket, it's Argentina versus Ecuador as the top game. And then as the bottom game, it is Canada versus Venezuela. And then I have Argentina beating Ecuador, And then I have Canada beating Venezuela. So that the semi would be Argentina versus Canada. That's my top of the bracket with the Group A, Group B fixtures done. How do you have your top Group A, Group B bracket going?
I have Argentina beating Ecuador.
Yep.
I have Mexico beating Chile again. Only love for my country. Mexico beating Chile or Canada.
Okay.
Or Canada.
And then in the bottom side of the bracket. So then the bottom side of the bracket, the Group C, Group D match, I have Uruguay versus Colombia with Uruguay making it through. And then Brazil versus the USA with Brazil making it through. Because that's the same combo.
I have the same one. Uruguay versus Brazil in the semifinal.
Yep, and then Argentina versus Canada in the other semifinal. Argentina versus Canada. And even if it's not Canada, it'll be Venezuela or Ecuador. What? In what world is this fair?
Yeah. I mean, Argentina is facing either Ecuador or Canada. You know what I mean?
Yes. Dude.
Yes.
Make it make sense.
Anyway, this one does. I'll agree. This one's a pretty.
So then Argentina beats their opponent, whoever it is, going to the
they
final.
And Brazil have it much tougher because they got to get past Uruguay.
And there's where I go. It's Brazil versus Uruguay. Who do you have making it through, Brazil or Uruguay?
The final?
Semifinal. To make it to the final.
Semifinal.
Brazil or Uruguay? Who's making it?
I'm sorry, man, but I'm going to go with Uruguay.
I get it.
Love Brazil.
I get it.
I'm sorry, but it's an Argentina-Uruguay final for me. And I'll say right now Uruguay or Argentina will win it, but if Uruguay play well, I think they could beat Argentina. 100%.
I absolutely agree. I disagree with the assessment. I have Brazil beating Uruguay. Another Copa America Brazil-Argentina final.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think we're gonna see another Argentina-Brazil final.
Written in the stars, my guy. It's gonna happen. And then I can't
you really
say.
Think? Do you think Brazil can beat Uruguay?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
I think the
level of talent. The level of talent says that they can.
But wait, I think you should definitely wait for some results for you to.
Oh, of course. Dude, this is way too early predictions.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the whole point. This is all
100%.
This is all heart, no brain.
But one thing that's written in stone.
No brain, all heart. Brazil, Argentina final, and we win the Copa.
One thing that's written in stone, dude. Argentina's making that final, man. That's
yes. Zeus wrote it with a lightning bolt on a stone tablet. They were
Messi.
FIFA was just like, no, he's our golden boy. We still have to take care of him. It doesn't matter that we already gave him a World Cup trophy. Let's give him more international things because he hasn't been able to be successful. Like, dude, they're handing him. This is his tournament to lose. Honestly. This is Argentina's tournament to lose. They're going to cakewalk to the final.
Let me ask you this question, though. Okay. I mean, you're going to say if Brazil go in there, you're going to tell me Brazil's going to win. If Uruguay go to the final with Argentina, who do you see winning that? Honestly.
Argentina.
Really?
I can see a world in where Uruguay wins it.
I think
that's totally possible.
I definitely, and again, I'm a big advocate for Argentina, but I think Uruguay could beat Argentina. I really do.
Here's the thing, though.
I really do.
Being able to beat a team doesn't mean you will.
Right.
A great example of that, just to bring it back home, RB Leipzig could have beaten Real Madrid. They didn't. Dortmund.
I talked so much smack in that game.
Dortmund.
I talked so much smack.
Yeah, dude. I got the text. I got the receipts, dude.
I talked so much. I was like, how this is the team you have winning the final?
Yes, and we did, mofo.
And you did. You shut me up. But damn, but like, that's the thing, right? Game RB Leipzig should have won. That was two games RB Leipzig. I feel like should have won.
Being able to beat a team doesn't mean that you will.
Right.
How many times over the last 60 years, since 1981, have we seen Real Madrid go into a final and everybody saying the other team's the better team? How many times? And that's the thing. Just because you can beat the team doesn't mean that you will. And that, I think, is the key part here. I totally agree with you. My real, true, heart-to-heart underdogs for the tournament is Uruguay. Because watch out. Because when you're talking about the best-built roster, I think the conversation can legitimately, like, well-balanced. Not top-heavy, just well-balanced. They're solid. There is a serious conversation that Uruguay has, like, I think they have the best midfield unit. I think they have an excellent defensive unit. I think they have an excellent forward unit with super subs that are beyond anybody's wildest dreams. You know, we talked about it. But yeah, if Uruguay beats Brazil, I think Argentina wins it. If Brazil makes it through, Argentina probably still wins it because FIFA's going to try to give Messi one last one. But that, I think, is the most competitive game that we're going to have in the Copa America, arguably, because it'll be the two best teams playing in the final again.
I think it's too predictable that Argentina and Brazil will make it. The only reason I don't feel like Brazil will make it to the final because they are essentially a better team than Uruguay. Though I do feel Uruguay are more well-rounded than Brazil.
It all comes down to that midfield, man.
But that's not just why I have them winning. That's not just the only reason I have them winning. The other reason is I just feel like a Brazil-Argentina final is just way too predictable. Way too predictable because I mean they're the best teams in the whole thing. They're the best teams in the whole thing.
They're the best team
arguably.
This side of the ocean, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
They're the best team.
If we have a hope that a team in the Americas is going to win anything at any point, it's Brazil or Argentina. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And because of that, I had to just make them get to the finals and face each other. And
right.
then I let my heart make that decision that Brazil's going to win.
I let my heart make the decision that Mexico's somehow going to make a run all the way to the semis.
Mexico,
I know that's laughable.
I will send you a text of like, oh, wow, if they make it out of the group. I have zero faith in this Mexico team, man.
If Mexico makes it to the quarterfinal, man, I'm gonna talk so much smack to you, dude. If they make it
to me, I want your country. I have no beef with Mexico. I just don't believe in them.
I know, but your belief in them is so low.
Yeah, and it should be rightfully so.
No, 100%. I have no arguments there. I mean, Mexico has nothing to show. But I mean, if we're talking about this Mexico team 10 years ago, completely different.
Totally different story. But it's not 10 years ago. It's now. Guys, get into the comment section and let us know what you think about the Copa America. Let us know your brackets. We're so interested. And don't worry, we're going to save these brackets. We're going to come back to this conversation and talk about it. Who was right? Who was wrong? Did Mexico even make it out of the group? Did FIFA hand Messi another Copa America trophy? Well, not another. He won the first one. What's going to happen? Let us know in the comment section below. Guys, if you like the content, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, do all of the things to help out the channel. We'll be back with our Euro edition of the Tactical Foul coming soon. Yes. That is Kevin. My name is Tigo. We are the Tactical Foul Podcast. Go on and get out of here, guys.